Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book fiends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I am the Dark Librarian, and I'm here to tell tales of terror. And have Mr. Bones here to help me. Oh, and there is poor York down there. Oh, and this time, the terror tome we're going to peruse is this one right here. This is Tales from the Crypt, number 10. Oh, but don't be fooled. This is not the classic EC Tales from the Crypt from the 1950s. No. This is from Papercutz Publishing, who rebooted the series in the mid-2000s. And this issue 10 is from 2007. But it still has tales to fill you with dread of horrible people doing horrible things and horrible things happening to horrible people. Just like the old ones. Oh, yes. So, let us go. Peruse the pages of Tales from the Crypt. Yes, here is Tales from the Crypt, number 10, from Papercutz Publishing. And here has the same original masthead, has the same design as the old one, even has EC over here. And these are 48 pages, 48-page comics. And it even has the classic original headshots of our interior horror hosts, the Crypt Keeper, the Old Witch, and the Vault Keeper. And here we've got them here too. The Crypt Keeper, oh, the Vault Keeper, and the Old Witch. And then, just for eye candy, who has nothing to do with this, we have Vampirist Carmilla over here. She has nothing to do with that. She's just there to be pretty. Okay, and I like this cover illustration. This was by Stephen Mannion, and it is really reminiscent of the of some of the classic covers. Okay, and this book has two stories. These stories are longer than the 6 or 8 page stories of the classic. And then it also has a few pages of in between stuff with the horror hosts, and from what I gather, they have a kind of an ongoing storyline from issue to issue. I only have 2 issues at the moment. I didn't even know this had been rebooted, and a couple months ago I found some at a collector's store. There were 4 issues, and I was a little short on cash with me at the time, so I bought 2 of them. A few days later, I went back, and the other 2 were gone. Doggone it! But anyway, so this is by various creators. It says the usual band of ghoul-lunatics, and of course the horror hosts are the ghoul-lunatics. And this has the 2 stories. This is the first story is written by Rob Vollmer with art by Tim Smith, and the second story is written by Greg Farnsley and art by Mr. XS. And the segments with the ghoul-lunatics was written by Jim Salicrup, that's a familiar name, and Rick Parker. And I it was a real treat to get these and get to read them. They are not as well written or as well drawn as the classics, but they are a lot of fun. And I do have to say that just based on what I've got here is they are better than the overall than the new Gold Key Boris Karloff reboot. Overall, they've got better. In my opinion, they got better with the second issue, but they're still not as good as these, and this is not as good as the classics. And doing some research, I don't know how many for sure issues they had, but as far as I can tell, it had a total of 14 issues. That's, like I said, that's all I can tell. And these have also been reissued, I guess, in trade paperback and hardback books. I only know that because it has an ad for them. Okay, so let's take a look here at the first story. You can see we start off with the Crypt of Terror, and this is this stuff with Salicrup and Parker inside the crypt. They're all there together, and we got the old witch on the computer screen, and she's leading up. They're trying to clean up because they had something happened in the previous issue. I've forgotten what it was. I read it, and they're cleaning up afterwards, and that kind of leads into it, and she leads into the story. And it's called Brain Food. And here we see. Now this is the story that's drawn by Tim Smith, art by Rob Volman, and it starts up here with this fellow here. We see him. He has kind of a blank look on his face, and this is all told in flashback. He's remembering. He is a psychiatrist in some kind of psychiatric hospital. It's not the best from what the looks of it, and it's about this patient in there, and the doctor is talking with him, finding out about Mr. Donnelly, finding out about him, and he's saying that something about the ward has a brain-eating monster on the ward, and he says, "Sure, that's not just the Thorazine talking?" He said, "No, it's the brain-eating monster," and. And so they're talking more, and then pretty soon someone comes up dead, and here we see this is not the cleanest and nicest place. Have the patient under a sheet here, and he said, "Well, his brain's gone. Something is taking his brain." Well, what? Well, doc. Well, that patient Donnelly has been walking around. Says, "The brain-eating monster strikes again." So the doctor thinks, well, this guy must be the brain-eating monster. He thinks there's one out there, and it must be him. So he's talking more, and he gets more excited. Has him put in a rubber room and tied down and stuff like that. And he goes to the board of directors and said, "We're going to make this place." The best known place here for stuff about encephalophagia, which means eating brains. The patients here and they think the doctor's a little bit on the nutty side. That he goes back and he talks with the patient again, Donnelly, some more. And he got me tied down. I won't be able to protect myself when the brain-eating monster gets here. And he's just all agog. He thinks it's great because he's going to take advantage of this guy to make a name for himself. Then he's called back to the boardroom, the conference room, and everyone who was at the conference lays there dead with their brains gone. Oh, he's thinks, I wonder how he did that. And he gets up, this is a real threat to me. I know how. So he gets the guy talking to him, and he's going to basically release him into the wild so they can be captured. He can help capture him and all this other stuff. Meanwhile, while the old man is He goes, I can't walk very well because he's still under the influence of drugs. He goes, Doc? Wow. And suddenly we see the doc with something on his head and with these tubes sticking in his ears. And it's the brain-eating monster, and it's sucking the doctor's brain. And they goes, ooh, you killed him. It said, delicious. And he's wondering, stay back, I don't want to be a bean. Says, I won't eat you. I'm a connoisseur. I only like, smart brains. And smashes out the window and goes off, takes off and go, wow, it's like, I'm too stupid to die. Cool. He's too dumb. And then we're back with the intro. Now this story, the second story, this is one by art by Rich Parker. No, correction. I said that wrong. Mr. XS. And this is obviously done on a computer. And I normally really do not care for when it's done like this. But it works for this story just because, as you can see, there's a robot in it. And it incorporates the drawing. The lines are just a little too perfect. And is incorporated bits of photographs for background and stuff. So the lady comes to the door, and this is called Murder Maid, M-A-I-D. Comes to the door, and she's griping because she's Mrs. Emerson Gale. She is the ex-wife of Professor Gale. And she has come to gripe about her lack of not receiving her alimony checks. Opens the door, and there is the robot who looks a lot really reminiscent of Rosie from the Jetsons. She is the maid. She barges in, goes right to the guy's lab, and starts griping. Wants her money now, and says, "Oh, I don't have it. Just leave. I'm busy working. This is a distraction." And he talks about his new invention, who's the maid, and shows her the stuff she's got built into her, and she does the cleaning and the cooking and all this other stuff, and she gripes, starts throwing stuff around, making a mess, and that looks like that kind of ticks the robot off. It says, "You have made a mess. Activating cleaning and disposal program." Then when the lady storms out, but menacing the maid robot is following her. Then pretty soon, the maid comes back in and says, "I've been calling you because he's got this little gizmo. He texts to her instructions, and she says, I was sorry. I was cleaning up a mess, and the garbage disposal is jammed." So again, it was jammed last week, right after I got the shipment of those parts. Then bam, door smashes open. Guy barges past the robot again. Stomping says, "Wipe your feet! You have made a mess." She's not happy. Leaves mud on the carpet. Then pretty soon she goes in. "Who was at the door? I thought I heard shouting. Someone had made a mess. I had to clean it up." And then, and he's just practically ignoring her. Says, "Late, I'm going to have a snack." Said, "The kitchen is not ready to prepare food." And he's talking about the garbage disposal is jamming. Again, get somebody to workman out here. So the next day, here comes this workman, and startled by the robot, but she shows him the garbage disposal. He's pulling stuff out. Holy cow, it's jammed, and that's as a bone. And then he realizes that's a human bone. She goes, "You have made a mess." Zip, the little buzzsaw zips out, and he fights and busts a chair over her, busts her face. And pretty soon she's back into the doctor's lab, and he sees her, she's been damaged, and he goes, better check it out, see and looks at the buzzsaw, and it's covered in blood. Says, "Oh my gosh, where'd this blood on your saw come from?" And she goes, "It's from cleaning up the mess." And in the process, he gets out and he slips and is making a mess, and it opens the refrigerator door and sees the heads of these people in the refrigerator. And the maid says, "The heads are too big to go down the garbage disposal." In his nervousness, he drops the control unit, And she goes, "You have made a mess!" And that's the end of him. And then we see, the old witch. She appears at the crypt as a maid. Ha ha ha! It is a lot of fun. It's, like I said, it's not nearly as well told overall as the classics, but it is, it is a nice reading, fun reading. Very, very reminiscent of it. And they had a variety of creators, some well-known artists and writers on this little run. So that's all I've got for you for this time for Tales from the Crypt. Ooh! So please like, share, and subscribe. And do leave a comment. Did you know about this Tales from the Crypt reboot that I didn't? And do you have any of them? And how do you think they compare to the original EC comics? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, comics are